What's going on, everybody? First of all, I have obviously a very different mic setup tonight. Can you let me know that this is working so I know that I don't need to switch back to the old way? And I'm hoping it sounds good. Let me know if it sounds all right. It appears to be picking up at least, so I hope that's the case. I hope everybody's had a good week. I will say on the announcement side, it has been literally the most boring week of announcements since we started doing this live show. So I got some other stuff planned. Thanks, Mitchell. I appreciate that. Speaking of that, Jason is getting a song stuck in everybody's head already. Lissa's here. Good to see you. Eric, what's going on? Hey, Jeff. And again, Mitchell, thanks for being here and helping me out with that. Yeah, we got some interesting things. I got another digital giveaway I'm going to do a little bit. I got some pickups for the week ready, and then I don't have 5 recommendations, but I got 5 movies that we're going to talk about that I think deserve an upgrade from one specific label. So that will be in just a little while. What's going on, Flickering? How's everybody doing this week? Oh man, I got an upgrade. Thanks, Future Boy. I appreciate that. Let me guess. It's the Dead Alive shirt, isn't it? I love this shirt. Even though this shirt is pretty much wearing me. What's going on, Antoine? I guess I'll say hey, Jason. I'm sorry you lost my waffle earlier that you picked out. That was a big one. I hope everybody out there is safe and feeling all right. It has been insane around here. I'm sure if you've watched the show for a while, you know that my oldest kid has Cub Scouts usually on Thursday nights. We have been canceled the last 2 weeks, primarily because of ridiculous COVID outbreak here in Missouri. My kids kind of go in the same school district. One's still in preschool, one's in first grade. So they're the one in preschool is kind of not really in the school district, but they follow the school district rules. Anyways, the school district is not huge. There's some schools that are bigger than others. It's bigger than my hometown, of course, but we only have a few thousand kids basically. It's overall probably like 4 or 5,000 kids in the entire school district, and there are right now 1,000 kids confirmed to have a positive case of COVID just in the last like 10 days. So it is insanity around here right now. Yeah, it is obviously smack dab in the middle of the Bible Belt. There's a lot of people not wanting to get vaccinated, and it's getting kind of scary out there. So it's an interesting time. Anyways, let's start going into the announcements. Let me share this tab over here. And finally, since I got a different laptop very recently, I finally got ad block in on Chrome. So hopefully we got less of that. All right. So like I said, not much announced this week. Jeff got the Ulmer set. I'm looking forward to that one. For some reason, they made it look like they announced it again today, even though they announced it a couple weeks ago. That was kind of interesting. Okay, so the first one after our show last week was Now and Forever. Obviously, the big names in this: Gary Cooper, Carol Lombard, Shirley Temple. This is coming from Kino, by the way, which is true of it might be every single title that got announced this week. Wild week. My big thing, for some reason, I grew up watching a lot of Shirley Temple. I think one of if I remember right, my great grandmother really liked Shirley Temple. I think that's what it was. She died when I was very young, so I don't have a big memory of that. But it was a big part of my childhood. I loved Shirley Temple growing up. I really hope that this is a sign of things to come from her, because a lot of her movies do not have a lot of releases, especially on HD. So that'd be nice. Let's see. Cam asked, how's the new promotion going at work? Honestly, it's rough. It has not been great on my mental health. This is going to sound super privileged, and I don't mean it that way, but this is the first time at a job where I've stepped into a new role and not been very successful at it pretty much immediately. And that's a good thing. Like, I understand I'm being challenged and it's all brand new, but it is at the level where there's not a lot of room to flounder. And I feel like I'm floundering. And so, yeah, it's going to be an interesting transition period. I hope I don't fuck it up too much. We'll see. It's only the federal government I work for. No big deal. Let's see. Future Boy got Goblin from Mondo. Very nice. Dave's here. What's going on, Dave? God's Gun is out already. That can't be. They can't be sold out unless maybe the first print already, which that would be surprising too. That's crazy. Solo Locks, what's going on? Mitchell says, I remember watching The Little Princess. Yeah, that was one for sure. No Scream 5. What happened? Everybody was going to see Scream 5, and I was super jealous, and you were one of them. What happened? Food for thought. What'd you think of Blood for Dracula? I haven't heard a final thought yet. Yeah, it's a wild movie. Glad you were watching it. Lissa says, every weekend when I was growing up, there'd be a Shirley Temple double on TV. Yes, that seems to be the case always. Seemed to be the case. There were so many of those movies that were just constantly on TV when I was a kid. Thanks, Cam. I appreciate that. Cool. Okay, so that was the first one from Kino. This is getting a new audio commentary from Lee Gambin, who's really good. And then Alyssa Rose is a costume historian, so that's an interesting one on this. This is from 1934, one of the really old ones. And then this is not an announcement, but there's going to be a replacement program, and we did know that this was coming for Jack Frost 2. They for some reason they got the wrong edit from the studio before they put it on the disc, and this is what we got, the edited version of Jack Frost 2. There is no program yet. They will announce that soon, and of course I'll be putting it on here later. Flickering says, I got Harold and Maude. I don't know if you watched the show on Tuesday. I think you were there, right? I also actually just got it this week. Good timing. Blood for Dracula was a trip. Bad accents, a 5-minute long blood puking scene, and incest. What's not to love? That bathtub scene. The first time I ever saw that bathtub scene in Blood for Dracula was shocking. It was crazy because you can see you can see what Udo Kier would turn into, especially in that scene. And he is, first of all, so skinny and lanky in Blood for Dracula. But beyond that, the acting level that he has is over the top, but in a way that fits the story. And it's so perfect in that movie. I loved him in Blood for Dracula. And this might be a little sacrilege because I know a lot of people love Flesh for Frankenstein. I think it's the better of the two, to be honest. All right. After Jack Frost 2, we are getting Next Time We Love with Margaret Sullivan and James Stewart from Kino. This is from 1936, and I know literally nothing about this one. If Sardis was here, he'd probably tell us this is a masterpiece, but I have not seen his name yet. Next up, we are getting If I Were King from, again, Kino Lorber. This is from 1938. Everything they've announced this week was pretty old titles. So I, unfortunately, did not grow up with a lot of these. This one is Kino via Code Red. So still just Kino. This is The Love Life of a Cop. And I don't think I'd ever heard of this one. But when I read that title, I was like, okay, let's look at the synopsis. Similar to Kinski, yes, actually. Jeff, have you, I thought you had said that you had seen Blood for Dracula. Yes, there are a lot of things about Udo's performance in Blood for Dracula that I would say is very similar to the way that Kinski did some things, but a lot better. I've never been a big fan of Kinski. Solo, should I buy Action USA on MVD or Vinegar Syndrome? That depends on what you're looking for. If you're wanting a complete VSA collection, then clearly you should go for Vinegar Syndrome. If you are wanting the most extras, the MVD Rewind release actually has one extra that is not on the Vinegar Syndrome release, and it has everything else. So that one is more bang for your buck. But beyond that, the MVD Rewind release also is like $17 compared to if you buy Action USA from Vinegar Syndrome, you got to go secondhand. And it's, I think the cheapest I've seen it recently is like $65. So that would answer the question for me. Anthony's here. I also prefer Blood for Dracula. Nice. Yeah, they are still great films, both of them, but Blood for Dracula to me is just a lot more entertaining. Foo picked up a Blu-ray of Stage Fright. It's a little too far away. I was going to show it. I did just get that one recently as well. Shameless. What'd you say? You know nothing about a label, but it looks to be a decent release. I will tell you, their name for the label is very apt. They are not a good label. They've only started recently putting out decent releases. They did Lucio Fulci's The Psychic, and then this Shameless release. of Stage Fright is they're both great releases because they took everything that was done for the previous releases in the US and just put it out over in the UK. So that is a good release. Don't feel bad about buying that. But most of their older stuff, like a lot of their Blu-rays, they're literally just DVD rips and they look trash. Just absolute trash. Mitchell watched Chinese Boxer. Nice. Still have an open Shawscope. I gotta be honest, I haven't either. It has been a very rough couple of weeks. And yeah, I'll agree with Eric here. Stage Fright is super fun. It is one of the better. It's not really a giallo, but it has, like, once you've seen it, you'll understand. It has a very giallo-esque feel to it, while really just being a really good slasher. Um, that's pretty much all I'll say. It is super unique and it is surprisingly well acted, but it's one of my favorites actually. John says only buy Shameless because of Four Flies on Gray Velvet. You are spot on. I have Stage Fright and I have Four Flies on Gray Velvet, and I think that's it. Okay, so the synopsis on this one. First off, this has no extras, obviously, besides the trailer. But when you read the cover of this, I had to really dive into the synopsis because it just screamed, what the hell? So, women who make the kind of offer a cop can't refuse, the public servant who serves and serves and serves. I mean, that sounds awkward, at least. Getting the synopsis, Morgan Paul from Blade Runner is Dirty O'Neill, a small-town policeman with a big-time libido. On the rare occasions when his pants are on, he patrols the neighborhood and coaches the girls' basketball team. But when three nasty hoodlums appear in his peaceful California town, Dirty wastes no time dispensing justice. The sizzling slice of 70s sexploitation, I'm just kidding, it's only exploitation, will quench your thirst for raunchy cop comedy. Co-directed by Leon Capitanos and Louis Teague from Alligator fame, and co-starring Art Metrano from Andy Sedaris' Seven, Pat Anderson, Gene Manson, and Katie Saylor. So I gotta be honest, I was gonna try to not get any more Code Red releases, but this sounds great. I really want to see this. A raunchy cop drama sounds hilarious. Mike just watched Duel of Death, one of their best releases from Eureka. Nice. What's up, Video Store? Mitchell says, I stream Stage Fright, mostly slasher, giallo-esque is a good description. I agree. And really, it doesn't have any of the tropes of giallo. It just, for some reason, it has like the cultural feel of a giallo, if that makes sense. But yeah, it is definitely a slasher through and through. Okay, so this is the big release, obviously. We already knew this was coming. This had been announced, but we finally have a date, and the fact that it's right around the corner is super exciting. So we are getting Cronenberg's Eastern Promises in 4K on March 22nd. And we had been, we've talked recently on a couple episodes of this that Kino used to be really light on the extras, and they've been improving since about end of 2018, early 2019, somewhere around there. Yes and yes, John. I've been stumping for this for a long time. Blue Underground does have Stage Fright. That would be a good pick. So with Eastern Promises, I was really hopeful that they were going to get new stuff with Cronenberg, and unfortunately, they don't. But if you look through the extras on the Blu-ray disc, so first off, this is going to have an HDR grade and all that, so that's fantastic. Glad we're getting that 5.1 surround. But then the extras are on the Blu-ray disc here. We are getting a brand new 4K SDR master scan. Obviously, it's not a 4K disc on the Blu-ray disc, so that is also going to be upgraded. And then a new interview with the screenwriter, Stephen Knight. And then we're getting the old archival extras, which is great. They normally didn't even do this. So we're getting Secrets and Stories featuring David Cronenberg, Marked for Life with David Cronenberg, Two Guys Walk into a Bathhouse with David Cronenberg, and then a featurette with Naomi Watts. And that's it. But honestly, that's a lot more than Kino would have done if this was just a few years ago. I was certainly, thank you, Jeff, exactly. I was hoping for a Cronenberg commentary, but unfortunately, we do not have that. At least we have something, and we are getting, the archival Cronenberg extras on there, which is a lot more than it could have been. And I think, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Spider the only one remaining for Blu-ray from Cronenberg? I think every other title he's put out has a blue release somewhere, at least. There was a couple holdouts we got this year, like M. Butterfly. So also coming on March 22nd from Kino, we're getting Blue Skies with some big names: Bing Crosby, Fred Astaire, Joan Caulfield. This is not really my type of film. I'm not a huge fan of the old Fred Astaire movies. Bing Crosby was okay sometimes, but this one is from 1946, so right in the middle of a lot of their performances that were really highly regarded. So I've not seen this one, but this is in this. Let's see. It says it features 30 Irving Berlin songs, including the showstopper "Putting on the Ritz." Blue Skies remains one of the all-time great musicals. Yeah, not much else to say about that one. Coming from Kino Lober via Code Red, Dagmar's Hot Pants Incorporated. Dagmar's Hot Pants Incorporated. So you'll see here on the top of this one, it says the fabulous girls of Fanny Hill, I, a Woman number 3, and Without a Stitch, together for the very first time. Fanny Hill, notably, is a Russ Meyer flick. So we are getting one of them. And this one is from 1971. And again, no extras at all. It says Scandinavian bombshell Diana, I think this is pronounced Kier. Diana Kier is Dagmar, a classy call girl in Copenhagen. To Dagmar, pleasure is a business, and business is a pleasure. But after 2 years in the trade, she's ready to quit. Join Dagmar on the final day of her career as she visits various clients and female friends for one last hurrah. Also known as Dagmar and Company, and co-starring Robert Strauss and great Inger Sund and Tommy Bloom. Dagmar's Hot Pants Inc. is a charming 70s sex comedy that's sure to satisfy. Now, Jeff says I've never seen Spider anywhere as a Blu-ray. Right. I think that's the last one we need. What's going on, nerd? Mitchell says, give me Giovanna long thighs if we are doing sex comedies. What I was about to say, I really hope that this shows we have a lot more coming, because there are so many sex comedy knockoffs from the 70s and 80s that have never seen the light of day on many of them, even on DVD. So it would be great to see a resurgence in those. And 2 from Code Red coming in 1 week. I mean, that's pretty good, although it's Code Red. Speaking of Code Red, we are getting another reissue from them through Kino with a slipcover, so everybody will clamor for it. This was a big title on Dark Force just a year or 2 ago-ish. What's going on, Flex? This is Screams of a Winter Night. This includes the original theatrical cut, an interview with star Gil Glasgow, and the trailer, and that is it. Now, if you don't know, this is an anthology film. It says a group of college students are spending a weekend away at a remote cabin. To pass the time, they decide to tell scary stories to one another. The first story focuses on a couple being terrorized by a Bigfoot-like creature while in the woods. That is what we get the cover art from here. The second story follows a group of frat brothers who spend the night in an abandoned hospital reputed to be haunted, while the third story concerns a young woman who begins to lose her grip on reality after experiencing an attempted rape. After telling their stories, they discuss an alleged wind spirit who haunts the lake near the cabin in which they are staying, which becomes the most terrifying story of them all. Now watch this film from a 2K scan of the original 16mm AB roll camera negative that includes the legendary thought-to-be-lost fourth story involving a creepy tree witch. A lot of people have seen this, again, because Dark Force just released this, and first of all, it's Dark Force. We've trashed them enough on this channel, but Dark Force has every single title they've put out. They go under the basically like the Apple brand of marketing. This is the most blank movie ever. This is the biggest release of the year. This is the most. What did they say? There's something they just said about Fangs recently. Really rubbed me the wrong way, and I can't remember it now, but. Basically, it's like, this is going to be the most rare movie we've ever put out, and you have to buy it now. And they're still selling this title years later on the Dark Force site as of like literally last weekend. So, yeah, if you really want this is probably going to be the best version. But again, it's Code Red. It's not great. I've had the original release. Sardis, I've already mentioned your name once on here. Glad you're here though. Yeah, this is going to be the best release of this that we'll ever get, probably, but it does not look that great. It is a decent scan, but it's not amazing. I am surprised that this has subs, especially with when this came out. Dark Force and Code Red specifically are notorious for not putting some subs on some of their releases, and it's ridiculous this day and age. Every single release should have subs. Olive also has that problem with a lot of their releases, which I don't understand. I just had that this week when watching Dirty Work after Bob Saget died. This is already the last announcement of the week. Yeah, Sardis. I mentioned a movie, and I said if Sardis was here, he'd probably tell us it's a masterpiece, but I don't know anything about it. So this is the last announcement of this week. This is the Godfather trilogy in 4K. This is a big deal. First of all, we knew this was coming. We knew that this was going to be in 2022. We knew that it was going to be nice. Now, this is the limited edition here that you're seeing in the pictures. We didn't know it was going to be this nice. It's going to have this nice, what looks to me like a hard box. And then on the inside, they're coming with these art cards, a nice book, and it looks to be like 5 discs. And then there's a report that it might be up to 9 discs, which is interesting. Then we have one thing that I wanted to point out here. People were asking, is Coda the only version of Godfather 3 that we're getting? Because it's here highlighted that we're getting The Godfather Part 2, along the acclaimed conclusion, Mario Puzo's The Godfather, Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. And right here it says, includes both the theatrical and 1991 cuts of The Godfather Part 3, as well as a special features Blu-ray featuring all new content. Now, a lot of those new extras have been released, so you can read what they are. They sound pretty decent. A lot of them is based on the restoration and what they did for these. It is overall looking to be pretty good. Now, right now, there's going to be some sticker shock because this is on Amazon, and they've got that stupid pre-order price guarantee where this is up. I think when I checked earlier, it was like $165 for this box, or even more than that. It might have been $180. And this is... it's a nice looking release, but it's not $180 or $160 release. It's 3 films basically, and some extras. I would hope that this would end up around like 90 max for the limited edition. But at the bottom of the link here on the announcement, there's a standard edition, and this was showing up as 80, and that definitely will go down. I see that going down to probably 60-ish on release, maybe 50. So that'll be here, and yeah, it's looking good. Let's see. We got some comments. Foo says, Ryan, do I know anything about Massacre Video? They put out a few horror releases so far, but they're putting out a 2K remaster of Horrible High Heels. Yes. So there is a lot of good about Massacre Video, but there's a lot of bad as well. Over the years, and they're kind of doing it right now, which is making me worried. They frequently announce a title and then say nothing about it for 2 years. And then they go, hey, remember that title we announced? It's available to order next weekend. Now, that normally wouldn't be bad if they would put it up for pre-order then, and then it would ship the next weekend. Unfortunately, they have a little reputation where they put something up for pre-order, and then it doesn't always ship on time. The last couple of years, it's been decent, but around like 2018, 2017, they were putting out some releases, especially their old DVDs, and they were announcing them. They would put them up for pre-order, and then they would miss the release date and not say anything to anybody for literally months, and it would pass like the PayPal window where you can't, go in and dispute. That's the word, that you couldn't dispute the charge. A lot of times they would go past the window where you can't do a chargeback on your credit card, and it's rough. Now, on top of that, they have a less than stellar social media experience with them. Basically, they don't say a whole lot, and they don't answer a lot of questions. So it's just kind of a shot in the dark sometimes. They do really good work for the most part, especially on all of their Blu-rays. And over the last, I think Hack-A-Lantern and Enter the Devil and Fiend, I think those came out around 2018 probably. And that's when they really started getting stellar and a little more on the ball. But then they were silent for a long time. And then I think it was by now, it's been since probably mid-2020, they announced that they were putting out the Men Behind the Sun trilogy. And when they announced that, they had a picture of the box that they were going to use, and it had the little UHD symbol on the bottom. Now, on top of that, they never said if all three were going to be in 4K. They never commented anything. It was just that little symbol that everybody said, "Oh, I see it. Men Behind the Sun is going to be in 4K." Then radio silence for a full year. And then last year, I think his name is Lewis Justin from Massacre Video. He was on a podcast called They Live by Film. And here's a little teaser. I've already got an interview with somebody from They Live by Film that's already in the can, pre-recorded, that's going to be up on the channel, I believe, next week. And we talked about Massacre Video. We talked about a lot of the interviews they did. But in that interview, Lewis said when they got the scan in for Men Behind the Sun, it was awful and it looked terrible. And they had signed the contract to say they were only going to put out the version that they were supplied. And they said, honestly, this is awful. We want to do our own scan. Now, they had never told anybody that was paying attention to the company until that podcast. And it would have been so much better if they had come out and just been honest about it. And especially for such a good reason. Hey, just so you know, we think this looks bad. We want to do a better job. So we're going to take some time and do it right. Everybody would have appreciated that, especially if they said, we're doing this in 4K. Here's what we want to do with it, but it's not up to snuff yet. We'll give it some time. Yeah, there was nothing. And then just a couple weeks ago, they posted another picture with a teaser saying, Men Behind the Sun coming soon from Massacre Video. What does that mean? What does coming soon mean? I mean, when you are posting these, it is literally information that people are supposed to take and say, I can count on you as a company to be putting these releases out and allow me to plan for that, but it doesn't work. So that's rough. Flickering is right here. Mr. No Legs had like 3 or 4 different release dates. That was one of the worst ones. And then I believe, if I'm remembering right, when they released it, they didn't even have the entire package together. I think we got shipped a movie in a case outside of the Blu-ray case because they didn't have enough time for the replicator to put it into the case or something like that. Yeah, they've had a couple other problems too, like the art on. I think it's the art on Toxic Zombies. That one came out last year. It is slightly off center on some of them, and they were supposed to send out a new art insert to everybody that bought it. And this was like last June, and we haven't heard anything since then. So, yeah, again, they do really good work when they do it, but it's just not worth the drama sometimes. Anyways, that is the last announcement for the week. That is The Godfather, which somehow led to a long discussion on Massacre Video. Let's go over what is coming out next week, because there's some decent titles. Big one for me, I still have not seen Last Night in Soho 4K. I've been waiting for this release. So the moment I get this in, I'm watching this title because I love Edgar Wright. Future says, not upgrading the Godfather 4K. Got the Coppola restoration set as same restoration. Plus, I added the Coda cut to the set. I got Super Deluxe set for $10 from Black Friday at Best Buy. Is that what is it called? The Omerta edition or something like that? The big white box? I think I got that for like $10 too. That was a nice set. And that was super limited at the time. I think it was like 15,000 releases. And yet they couldn't get rid of them. Crazy for such a big series. So next week, Last Night in Soho 4K, A Hard Day's Night 4K, Toolbox Murders 4K, which a whole bunch of people have got already from Orbit, especially John. John Peters has already watched it, said it looked pretty good. Liar Liar from Shout Select. This is not being advertised, by the way, on Liar Liar. This is not being written that it has a new restoration. It has a brand new 2K scan, and it supposedly looks great. Mine is not shipped yet for some reason, but if I'm remembering right, I think I bought it from Target. That's probably why. It'll probably be here by release date. But yes, Liar Liar from Shout Select does have a new scan. So that is a good thing because the old Blu-ray was not great. From Warner Archive, we are getting Song of the Thin Man. I believe, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that's the last Thin Man movie, if I'm remembering right. What's going on, Maximus? Mitchell has Shock and Santo coming. Nice. John is getting Shock, Tokyo Decadence, and Candyman 3. Now, Candyman 3, this is a big question mark. I've not seen any reviews on this one yet. And if the last couple releases from Vestron are anything to go by, this might not have a new scan either. So that could be rough. That is the last one. Okay. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. So, what I'm curious about, because I believe I have the first Thin Man from Warner Archive, but I realized once they announced the second one, wait a minute. If they're going to put out all of them, I might just wait because I'm hoping they put out not really a box set, but one of those like extended versions where they have multiple discs in one case that Warner did for one of the horror releases. It's got 4 movies in it. I hope they do that for Thin Man so I can have the whole set in one. That would be the best way, I think. So yeah, Candyman from Vestron. This is Candyman 3. Not a good movie at all, but it's a Candyman movie, kind of. And a lot of people are complete on Vestron, so they're gonna want it. Like I said, Toolbox Murders 4K. It's Blue Underground. It's gonna look good. Unfortunately, from what I hear, the elements on that were not great, so it's not going to be as stunning as the other Blue Underground 4Ks, but still going to look much better than it ever has. Titan or Titan, I don't remember the correct way to say it. That is one that I have been dying to see as well. And of course, it comes out the same week as Last Night in Soho, so I'm going to have to choose which one to watch immediately. Yes, it is bare bones flickering. Raw started out that way and got a couple better releases later. I'm sure this one will be the same, just like all of the what's his name? Wes Anderson. All of the Wes Anderson films that come out and then they go on Criterion and get a much better release. Sometimes it's better just not buy Wes Anderson films basically until they're on Criterion. Akira's coming out in 4K. I think this is just the standard release of what was already released. Shock from Arrow, Edge of Darkness from Warner Archive. If you are into the Lionsgate Steelbooks, we got that Requiem for a Dream 4K Steelbook coming out. And the coloring on this one looks really good for a Steelbook. Again, I know a lot of people on the channel are big Steelbook fans. I am as well. I've got a couple to show off tonight. The Little Rascals Volume 4 is going to be coming out from Classic Flicks. Addams Family 2. We haven't seen the first one, but my kid keeps asking about the second one. So, yeah, don't know what to do there. Red Angel, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that one. That is also coming out through Arrow. And then Tokyo Decadence from Unearthed. Santo from, I believe this is VCI putting this one out. And then we are getting The Capture from Film Detective. Time from Criterion. And it just keeps going. We are getting Indicator's first U.S. releases with Hoffman, Blockhouse, The Brute, and then I think there's one more next week. Is there not? Maybe not. We are also getting the Sexy Box from Troma, which is, again, one of those sex comedy box sets. This is the alternate slipcover for Shock from Arrow. You can get that from the Arrow web store exclusively. And Don't Let Her In, I believe that's coming from RLJE. VHS Massacre 2 from Troma. That is shipping from Orbit and Grindhouse already. So if you want that one, don't know why I clicked it, you can get that one already. The Awakener, this is coming from Scream Factory, I think. It might be Shout Factory. Nicholas Nickleby featuring Jax from Sons of Anarchy. That's supposed to be a good movie. Stendhal Syndrome, if you don't have the old limited edition release, Blue Underground is putting out this standard release. Here's the other indicator here at the bottom. Girl Stroke Boy. But yeah, Stendhal Syndrome is coming without the CD soundtrack and all that. We're getting Girl Stroke Boy from Indicator. Brides of Satan is coming. And Space Vampire is the last kind of big title coming out next week. But it's a pretty stacked week. Let's see. They did a great box set for Thin Man on DVD and a separate box set of movies they did together that weren't Thin Man. I'm just hoping they do the same on Blue, especially now that they're all going to be out. Sardis just came across issue 2 of Asia Trash Cinema. Nice. Now the first 47 of 63. Wow. The rest are available on Asia Cult Cinema site for $6 each. That's not a bad price when you're looking to get all of them. 18 months together. That's awesome. Yeah, I'd imagine Stendhal Syndrome will be in 4K eventually. I don't understand why they are doing the business model they have for Blue Underground sometimes, but it works, I guess, and I just hope that we keep getting the 4K releases. Okay, next I am going to go over, let's see, I'm going to go over some pickups, and then I'll do the digital giveaway. It'll be tied into last week's digital giveaway. First one is one that has been really hard to come by for a lot of people, and this is already on eBay for like $90. which is crazy. Don't pay that. This is the Halloween Kills 4K Steelbook from Best Buy. I got to admit, it's really good art for a Halloween movie, and I'm a little more positive on this movie than a lot of people were. I did not hate this. I think that a lot of the dialogue was bad, but the movie overall, it's a Halloween movie. It's like a trash slasher, and I didn't expect it to be a I didn't expect it to wrap up storylines, especially when we knew that there was one coming literally called Halloween Ends. So I expected more of an intermediate story, anyways. And then the other one that is, again, crazy hard to come by, and also a lot of people were getting this one damaged, Dune in 4K. I still have not seen this. So this is one I'm going to be prioritizing to watch. Here's the back, but the best thing, when you open this one up, and it's got the entire continuous art. I love releases like this. This is a really nice steelbook. And again, the bright orange and yellow on steelbooks, when they come like this, they really just call out from the shelf. I love it. They look so good. And then keeping with the modern films, I just got this in, and a lot of people that I trust seem to really like it. I really wanted to see The Last Duel. So I had to pick that one up, and it's in 4K. So can't complain there. Yeah, I understand that, Mitchell. It's going to be a while, though. That's the hard part. I'm glad there's a lot of people here that seem to have liked Halloween Kills. The next one is probably the most influential art house release that I've gotten in months, and that is the Ren and Stimpy Almost Complete series. I saw this up on the Orbit. I think that I got this on Orbit, and it was really cheap. Yeah, I definitely got it on Orbit because I was talking to Flip about it. This has 52 episodes on 9 discs from all 5 seasons. I have not watched this in forever, but I try to always support TV on physical media that I didn't have, so needed to get that. Coming back to the classic from, let's see, Mitchell's asking what is missing. I don't think it says on here, but if I remember right, there are a couple things that they couldn't get the rights to somehow. I'm not sure on this one. I'd have to look it up. Going back to the good movies after Ren and Stimpy, I had to pick up Kino Lorber's The Great Escape, and that is in 4K, and they're still doing that silver banner for the 4K releases across the top. I'm fine with it. I obviously I wish they didn't do it. I wish it was just the entire original poster art on the front, but it doesn't bother me that much. Again, really heavy on the special features. Long list here. A lot of them are featurettes, and they're going to be 10, 15 minutes or less, but that's fine. I mean, it's got multiple commentaries. And one of them is with the director and the crew or cast. So, yeah. Yeah, Mitchell, a lot of the times it is music. I guess I need some water. I'm starting to get all throaty. Is that even a word? Next one. I guess this is like a trash sandwich. I had to get this one to prove I put my money where my mouth is. I told everybody on here, I think it was only 2 weeks ago, that I was going to upgrade. I had to upgrade, and I got the Blu-ray of Amityville Vibrator, and it came in so quickly. So quickly. I did not order that immediately. Actually, this may have been last week that we talked about it, now that I think about it. But yeah, it's already here. And there is a lot of new stuff compared to the DVD release, so I'm glad I have it. It's a fun little movie. It's not amazing, but I've got it. The next one is one that I'm genuinely excited to see, and I think I saw this around when it first got released, but I may be misremembering. That is the last broadcast from 101 Films. I kept missing this being in stock at Orbit, and finally got it on one of the days it was in. And there's a lot of stuff in here. This is one of 101's better releases. This is one of the first found footage films. And yeah, I kind of have a soft spot for found footage. I know a lot of people hate it. Jeff, I promise that was not on purpose, but thank you for pointing it out. Nice. John got Juice 4K. Such a good movie. The last one. This is one I wanted to highlight a little bit because this one is my first release from this boutique. that I do have 2 more of my boutique videos. I keep saying they're coming, and I've already filmed one of them. I've got some other plans for the channel. This is one I'm gonna have to add into the final video, I think, or re-edit it into this next video. This is my first release from Grasshopper Films. This is Hill of Freedom. They do a lot of Asian cinema. I don't think it's all Asian cinema. If Eric is still here, he might be able to throw in some more information on here. But Hill of Freedom is by Hong Sang-soo. This is in Hill of Freedom. Kwan returns to Seoul after a restorative visit to the mountains. She is given a packet of letters left by Mori, who has come back from Japan to propose to her. Kwan drops and scatters the letters, all of which are undated. When reading them, she has to make sense of the chronology, and so must we. Shot in the narrow alleys, petite cafes, and beautiful Hanok inns of Seoul's historic Jongro district, a favorite Hong location, Hill of Freedom is a masterful, alternately funny, and haunting tale of love and longing from the great director. This is supposed to be great, and I actually wasn't going to order this, but they had I think it was like a 2-day special where they were giving a special discount if you pre-ordered days that they were putting out with another film, and it was over, I think it was $40 or $50, and you got like days for like half off. Oh, there you go. Eric's even pointing out they are releasing the latest Tsai Ming-liang film, Days. I wanted Days, so that's why I sought them out. Found out that they were doing some sort of promo. Don't remember what it was, but this is the one that just jumped out at me and sounded the best. So I'm going to be giving this one a watch soon. I really like that story. The idea of, the scattering of the letters and trying to put them back in order and not knowing sounds great. All right. Sardis says, I ordered The Last Picture Show, found a French release. Can't wait to see it again since it first came out. Very nice. All right. I'm going to be doing another digital giveaway just like the one I did last week. Last week was Avengers Infinity War in 4K. Just to continue, I'm going to go with Avengers Endgame in 4K to pull out the entire package. I know a lot of people have seen these already, but hey, if you want a brand new one, here you go. Brand new 4K digital. This is going to be on redeemdigitalmovie.com. Redeemdigitalmovie.com. Let's see what Eric has to say. Hong Sang-soo is a good director, but his films tend to feel samey when compared to each other. Well, this is my first one, so I can live with that for now, at least. till I fall in love with this one and want 12 more. Okay, you're going to go to redeemdigitalmovie.com, and I'm going to type the code here in the chat, and you are going to copy and paste it, and the first one to get it wins. All right, let me make sure I did this right. All right, here we go. redeemdigitalmovie.com, and there is the code if you want it. Let me know if you get it so I can throw that digital slip away. All right. What's going on, Ken? Good to see you. I was looking at my Scream Factory collection today, and there are a lot of reasons to enjoy Scream Factory, but they have made a lot of mistakes over the years. And not all of these are technically mistakes, but I wanted to point out 5 films that I really hope gets an upgrade. And you'll see why in just a second. The first one I'm going to talk about is probably the most notorious. You know what? I'm going to change that. That's going to be the second one. The first one I've talked about a few times on here before, and I know I've talked about Jason in the chat Jason from the chat about this a few times. This is their release of Dog Soldiers. Now, this does not say anything about it being an HD scan. It doesn't say anything about it being a new scan. It doesn't say the brand new scan from the original camera negative, anything special like that, because this scan is absolute trash. This movie looks horrible in this release. And yes, the special features on here are pretty good. I do understand we are getting a second, I think it's Second Sight, that is putting out a new 4K of this release, but it would be nice to right their wrong, and I sincerely hope that Scream Factory comes back and puts this out again and goes above and beyond to make it a nice release, kind of to make up for this. This is a really, really fun movie, a really unique take on werewolves, and this one is First off, let me show this picture on the back. I don't know if it'll be able to make out, but that is a pretty interesting looking creature, at least. You can see it on the right and the left there. If you don't know, this is directed by Neil Marshall, who also did The Descent, and it brings. It's odd because they're not very similar movies, but there are some things that if you know that it's Neil Marshall in both, you can see. Yeah, I can kind of feel how this led to The Descent, and it's a really fun movie. However, man, does this release just stink of shit. And I can't wait until Second Sight puts out that 4K. But like I said, I really hope Scream Factory comes back and does something special with this. For example, they have that statue they did for The Howling, and not to take away The Howling, but my werewolf film that is not An American Werewolf in London is this one. I love Dog Soldiers, and I really hope that they do something fun for it. It would be a fun one to tie in, like a NECA figure. I think that would be a good one. Wow, from Moss M. My mom got a Diabolic account and got me the Shawscope set as an early birthday gift. That is an awesome mom. That is fantastic. Sardis says, I bought a used copy of Scream Factory's The Mummy Shroud, worst film I've seen this year, not talking quality of print. I have heard the same. Absolutely heard the same. So the next one. This is one that is, again, I did mention this before, but notoriously bad, primarily because it was labeled as a collector's edition, and it should not have been labeled a collector's edition. And now that I've said that, you probably know which one it is, but it is Death Becomes Her. Now, this movie is a lot of fun, primarily because it's cast. I mean, look at everybody in here. You have Meryl Streep, Bruce Willis, Goldie Hawn, and all three of them are on top of their game and giving their all. Bruce Willis has not made many good movies. He has made, like, I could probably count less than 5 that I truly enjoy and would love to watch again right now. And Death Becomes Her is one of them. This movie is legitimately funny. It is really, really well made, especially for when it came out. What year is this? Does anybody? It says 1992. So for 1992, there are. I mean, look at what you got here. There is a cutout through Goldie Hawn where Bruce is holding this little mini chandelier candle holder, or candelabra, whatever it's called. Obviously, the candle thing doesn't happen in the movie, but she does get a hole cut through her, and they pull it off so well. It is so well done in this, and primarily because I believe that this was directed by Robert Zemeckis, and he did great in this movie. But then this gets announced, and it's a collector's edition, and it's not worthy of a collector's edition. This is something that I really hope gets upgraded to 4K. And with this cast, I genuinely think it would sell well. Let me see. I think I flipped the artwork around. I want this artwork on the front of a 4K done really well, brand new 4K scan of the OCN, and get some new interviews. I know the people in this movie are going to be they're going to be hard to pay for. So I'm not expecting a Meryl Streep interview. I'm not expecting a Bruce Willis interview, but you could probably get Goldie Hawn. You could almost definitely get Robert Zemeckis to speak on this. And there's a handful of other people. I can't remember any of the other names right now. Isabella Rossellini plays a big part in this. I'm sure she would talk on it. It was 30 years ago. Put this out for the 30th anniversary on 4K and treat it with some goddamn respect. This movie is amazing. Let's see. Maximus says Bruce Willis is hilarious in that. Wish you could have showed us that side more, or any other time. Yeah. Mitchell is really disappointed Death Becomes Her didn't have the early Tracy Ullman cut. Yes. Bruce Willis is so bad nowadays, he's retroactively made me not like anything. I mean, all right. So Bruce Willis, let's talk about that real quick. What are his great movies? Death Becomes Her is one of mine. Unbreakable is, in my mind, amazing. Unquestionably one of his best films. Other than that, I got to go with the other Shyamalan and say The Sixth Sense. 16 Blocks. I kind of enjoyed that one. It's a fun movie at least. Let's see. I would agree with 12 Monkeys. I got to be honest. Whoa, there's a lot of answers there. I'm not a Die Hard man. I don't love that movie for some reason. Last Man Standing. No. Eric, I gotta be honest, I always overlook him in Pulp Fiction. Obviously, he's in it and he's great, but I really don't look at it as a Bruce Willis film. So yeah, I understand that. Sin City. Okay, that is a great answer. Yep, that is genuinely a great answer. Fifth Element. That's a hard one. It's a good movie for sure. He had such a little impact on it in my mind, at least. Now this kind of a hot take for some people. Looper. I I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. There's a lot that I was intrigued by in it. There's not even a lot that I probably liked in it, and I got to be honest, I've not watched Looper again since the theater because uh, I'm one of those people. The CGI really turned me off in that the way that they de-aged everything. Video Store loves The Fifth Element. There's a couple Defenders of the Last Boy Scout. I got to be honest, I always forget that he did that one. Flex says, is that movie shot coming from Arrow supposed to be any good? Yes. It is a Bava title, if that speaks to you in any way. On top of that, it is it was labeled as Beyond the Door 2 because of the success of Beyond the Door 1, but it's not anywhere related to the first one. Hostage is underrated. I don't know that I've seen Hostage. Oh God, John Mercury Rising. I'm just glad nobody said Cop Out. Jason, Armageddon is not a good movie. I got to be honest. I'm sorry. Okay, so here, this is a good take because Hudson Hawk is genuinely a very, very divisive movie. I I like it. I'm certainly on your side on this one, Maximus. I don't think that it is uh, a masterpiece by any sense of the word, but it is fun at least. Flex Bava, Mario Bava, or Mario Bava, Bava. So that goes a long way for a lot of people just because they want a Bava title. Okay, so my next one, before we go too hardcore on Bruce Willis, I guess, this is one that has kind of been rumored to be coming on 4K, possibly from Kino. I Speaking of hot takes, this is probably going to be one. I think this might be my favorite in this. It's not a series, I guess, kind of a franchise, even though this isn't really related to the other ones. This is from an incredible director who is so stylized, and it is genuinely, I think, better than what won the Academy Award with the same exact story. I want to see Manhunter come out on 4K. Now, this is out of print now, but this movie is an 80s stylish Miami Vice induced real deep dive into like insanity that just feels dirty. And goddamn, do I want this in 4K. This is a good release, believe me. This has new interviews with the director of photography. It's got new featurette on the music of Manhunter. It's got the theatrical trailer. They also have the theatrical version, which is rated R, and then they have the director's cut, which is unrated. But this movie is so much fun to watch, and no hate against Silence of the Lambs. I love Silence of the Lambs, and I got to be honest, uh, the character of Hannibal Lecter, I think, is well done in Silence of the Lambs. I think it is better than it's handled in Manhunter, but I think almost everything else in Manhunter is way better than what is in Silence of the Lambs. I think that the better this is the better version of that story, and something that I personally want to go back to much more often than anything that I see in Silence of the Lambs. Uh, Obviously, Silence of the Lambs is in 4K from Kino. It would be very intriguing if they got this in 4K as well. Now, this is an MGM title that went out of print from Scream Factory and is probably up on the auction block. And I could see Kino getting the rights to this and putting this out on 4K. Now, there probably would not be any new features. And honestly, for this one, I'm fine with it. They have, there's a Michael Mann commentary. They've got, let's see, conversation with the cinematographer Dante Spinati, Inside Manhunter with stars William Peterson, Joan Allen, Brian Cox, and Tom Noonan. There's a lot of stuff on here. As long as they get the archival extras, that could be a killer release. Completely agree. Let's see. Maximus says William Peterson weirdness in 4K. Yes, please. All day. Eric still has the Anchor Bay DVD. Nice. We were just talking about Anchor Bay in a call I had last night. It's interesting. It never matched the brutality of the book, says John. And while I would agree, I think Manhunter comes closer, and it could just be because of the tone. It feels like genuinely gritty. Ash says films at home. your comment already just starting off bad with those 3 words. He says Terminator 2 4K transfer is amazing. Is this true? Because I hear bad reviews. The Terminator 2 4K is literally one of the 3 worst transfers in the entirety of 4K transfers ever. It's not a good release, period. There is DNR 4 days on that one. Video Store says Manhunter needs a 4K release, especially with that killer soundtrack. Which version do you usually prefer? I remember the theatrical version better, so that's the one I generally watch, but it would be nice to have both in 4K, obviously. Oh my gosh, Foo. You've always wanted to watch it, but never have. You need to. It's going to be hard, obviously. I'm not sure if it's streaming, but that Blu-ray is very expensive nowadays. Yes, Tom Noonan is fantastic in Manhunter. Mitchell says, I have a Studio 3-pack, only ever watched Silence. I got to be honest, I am just showing some of my trash love here. I have genuinely liked all of the Hannibal films, and some of them are not great. I mean, there is a Hannibal Lecter prequel film with Hannibal being played by somebody who's supposed to be like 19, and he genuinely has like this incestuous relationship with his aunt. It's awkward as hell, but it is so good. R. Brooks says Manhunter is awesome. Also one of my favorite, not favorite Michael Mann film. Yeah, I honestly think I'm on that same train. Completely agree. And this might be why. The flaming wheelchair scene in that movie in Manhunter is so well done. It is such a wake-up call in this moment of the film where you're like, you're kind of vulnerable because you're just waiting for that you're waiting for something to drop, but it's in a quiet moment. There's no lead up to it. It's just a shocking, out of nowhere, super great scene. Man does some great in-depth commentaries. Yes, and he is present on that disc, so I hope it's on that next one. As long as both cuts are included, I'm in for a 4K. Good. Yeah, I agree, Rob. A Kino Hannibal Lecter collection. Dare we hope? I mean, they do have Hannibal in 4K as well. I wasn't going to bring that up because it's a lot of people hate that movie. But that was their very first 4K release. They have Hannibal. They have Silence of the Lambs. Let's just keep going back in time. Let's do Manhunter, please. By the way, I don't have it on me, or I'd grab it. There is a Hannibal Lecter collection that has all of the old movies, or not old movies, but everything after Silence of the Lambs on Blu-ray. And the ones in the US are hard to find nowadays. So that is the one to get, and it's fully region-free. The entire thing is region-free. Flex says, Gladiator 4K turned out okay. Thinking of picking up the Steelbook. Yes, the Steelbook is worth it. Usually it's $20 or under. It's not like the most amazing 4K in the world, but it's not Terminator 2 bad or anything like that. Jason has not seen it. Oh my gosh, jump on that. How is Flip doing? He is just fine. We are still doing our live shows every Tuesday on the other channel. If you want that is linked through my channel on YouTube. He's doing just great. I talk to him literally every single day. Sardis hasn't seen it. Everybody needs to watch Manhunter. Manhunter is amazing. That's the name of it. So Hannibal Rising. That's the one with the incestuous aunt. Really, I almost said really good movie. I think it's a really good movie, but a lot of people hate it. It's so much fun. I would love the series on 4K as well. That is something somebody fact check me here. Do we have any TV series in 4K? Like the actual entire series? I know we've got a couple mini series, but at least something with 2 seasons. Do we have anything with at least two seasons on 4K? I can't think of anything. That would be amazing to have that be the first one, because it's such a oddly beautiful show. they make cannibalism look so enticing. Ken asks, Child's Play coming from Kino in 4K, you think Scream is out of print? I would think that would likely happen soon, especially after the success of the Chucky series. Uh, Ash says I would pick up Hostel on 4K. I would as well. It was shot on digital, so it's not going to be the massive resolution upgrade that I would like, but it's a very dark movie, and so the HDR could have a lot to do to help on there. Flex asked, "Did I bust open Shawscope yet?" No. It's been a very busy couple weeks. I've only watched a few movies, most of which are going to be coming out in some videos here on this channel in the next couple weeks. Whoops. Dave says saw Manhunter in the theater back in the day. That would have been so much fun. Sardis says watch Gladiator in 4K. Thought it looked okay. Yeah, that'd be about my review. It's not game changing or anything. Good call, Eric. Yeah, you're right. Game of Thrones in 4K. Yeah, you're right. The Wire has not been released in 4K. Only Game of Thrones. Unfortunately, no Sopranos. Hellraiser 4K, I believe, should be happening before the end of the year, probably from Arrow. I'm not leaking anything. I don't have very specific information, but going off of some of my guesses from that sheet they put out, I'm thinking that's probably going to be coming out. Westworld, are all of their seasons out on 4K? I got to be honest, I've never seen Westworld. It did not appeal to me in that first season, and then everybody I've talked to says they hated every season past that first season. Video Store says, are the Nightmare on Elm Street films coming to 4K this year? My bet is no. They will probably not be coming to 4K this year. There was what people thought was a leak last year, and it was fake. It was a very obvious fake. It was not well done. They used Fright Rags art to put on the covers of the movies. We have no confirmation that those are coming, and I got to be honest, I don't see that happening for this year or next year at all. Okay, so Westworld is all on 4K. Good to know. Rambo 4K Best Buy set worth picking up. Absolutely, especially if you're talking about the Steelbook set. That set is beautiful. That has some of the best art on Steelbooks that I've ever seen. And yes, obviously the packaging does play a part in what we're talking about, but all of the Rambo films on 4K look genuinely really good. And it's a really good series. I don't think there's any of them that are like truly bad movies. There's some that go into B movie territory, but they're fun at least. Give me Yulbrenner and Westworld 4K. That's a day one. I could see that being a keynote title on 4K. Frailty on 4K. There's an interesting one. Yes, Vinegar Syndrome and Severance should be shipping soon. Almost bought Game of Thrones 4K, but the reviews on the set were horrible, and they only give you HD digital codes, not UHD. Yeah, that would turn me away as well, Mitchell. I don't understand that. Moss, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. We will likely never have a Tales from the Crypt 4K release, and sadly, unless they get their stuff together, we will likely never have a Tales from the Crypt Blu-ray release. It was edited on tape, and from what I hear, they have no idea where the tape masters even are for that. And when they did that, they obviously were not looking forward to restoring later so that they could bring it up and blow it up for Blu-ray. But even if they do find them, it's not going to be great. It would barely be above standard definition, probably. Let's see. I'm going to go to the next one. So the next one, I think, is one of the most underappreciated titles in the entire Scream Factory catalog. I've got two more of these. Now, I apologize. This next one, again, this is two in a row that are out of print. You're not going to be able to find this one. I do think this is streaming. Last time I checked, it was available somewhere. I think it was HBO Max, actually. This is, I think, they're one of their most... Sardis is probably lost on a crypt somewhere. That's a good joke. This is one of the most underappreciated titles in the entire catalog from Scream Factory. And primarily because I'm a big fan of... that was a weird way to say that. Aquatic horror. And obviously from those two words, you probably know this is Leviathan. Leviathan is a genuinely very creepy movie. Really well done. And just want to go over the synopsis on this one for anybody that's not seen it, because supposedly this is one that has been going under the radar for this current generation of film fans. So I want to see if I can entice you to watch it. It says, on the dark and forbidding ocean floor, the crew of a deep sea mission, the crew of a deep sea mission rig discovers a sunken freighter that harbors a deadly secret. A genetic experiment gone horribly wrong. With a storm raging on the surface and no hope of rescue, the captain and his team are propelled into a spine-tingling battle for survival against the ultimate foe, a hideous monster that cannot die and lives to kill. Now, this movie is great. First of all, this is really well done, really well acted. It stars frickin' RoboCop. Peter Weller is in this. We also have Daniel Stern from Home Alone and Bushwhacked and all those other things. Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters is in this, and it's directed by George P. Cosmatos. It's really well done. On top of all that, this is obviously, as you can see, there's no slip, no collector's edition branding. This is just a standard release. There's not much on here. We have an interview with actor Hector Elizondo and creature effects artist Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr. and a trailer. That's it. I think that they could have done this much better, but it also didn't have a new scan. I think if they could pull out the OCN, find it, get a good 4K scan of this, and rebrand this as a collector's edition, maybe put it in a steelbook like they have for some of the others, this could be a very great release. Now, this is out of print now, which means they have not renewed the rights for this, which means it's not likely going to come from Scream Factory. But whoever is going to get this next, I would love to see this come out from somebody that would do great with this. And this is one of those movies that it's sci-fi enough and it's horror enough that it could fit on almost any label. Like Arrow could do a great edition of this. Second Sight would do great with this. This would even fit with Kino. I mean, they've done Deep Rising. They've done a handful of other movies that are tangentially similar to this, at least. And a lot of these labels would do really good to get a movie like this because this has a pretty good reputation. And this came out, this is pretty much the biggest year of aquatic horror ever. This came out in 1989, the same year as The Abyss and a couple other really big underwater horror movies. And it's just so well done and so underappreciated. And yeah, if you haven't seen it, please find it. Again, Peter Weller, Daniel Stern, Ernie Hudson. It is so good. So good. All right, let's see what people have been saying about Leviathan. Jeff says, anyone watch the Creepshow series? Any opinions? It's surprisingly good. I think the second season is better than the first, but for the most part, they're pretty good. Future Boy says the 4K cannot do SD on BD. Discotheque is an anime boutique label. Mentioned this issue with the 4K format. Interesting. I'd be curious to see if there's any way that they could do that. Huh. Oh, there you go. John's got you. Really fun show. Hits and misses, but largely good. Eric liked Leviathan. Good. Video Store hasn't seen it. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people haven't. A lot of people. Sardis says, well worth the watch. You get the Sardis seal of approval. Nice. Rob points out, yeah, Peter Sellers throws a mean punch in Leviathan. Daniel Stern is so goofy. He is always goofy. I freaking love Daniel Stern. Alien Under the Sea, yes, for the most part. But if you really want Alien Under the Sea, I'm a big fan, and I'm going to say this unironically. I'm not, apologetics. This is super from the heart. Watch Underwater with Kristen Stewart. If you have not seen it yet, it is genuinely the movie Alien Under the Sea. Beat for beat, it's the exact same movie, basically. But it is up to date and so well done. The final reveal of who the big creature under the sea is great. But it's just a really well directed film, and it's one that a lot of people have brought this up in praise of Underwater. But it starts like 75 seconds into the movie and then never stops until the end. There's a couple points where they stop to take a real quick breather and get a couple story points in, but Underwater is so well done. And again, as a big fan of aquatic horror, I was really expecting it to suck, especially it got canned for 2 years and finally got it released in a January release date. And it was so much better. It deserved so much more than it got. That's a good one. Cinematic Circus says Leviathan's legit, better than Deep Star 6. I'd agree on that. I think Deep Star 6 is a lot of fun, though. Leviathan and Deep Rising make a great double feature. They absolutely do. I would say watch Deep Rising and then Leviathan, though. I think Leviathan makes the better showstopper there. Eric says, if you want to see Peter Weller fight another monster, check out Of Unknown Origin. That is a good one. King Dingling's here. What's going on? Seen this movie when I was a kid. Super great feature with cool effects. Really great effects. Joyce Jones has a copy. Nice, nice. Hard to find. Ash says The Machinist on 4K would be nice. Yes, yes, it would. Dark movie that would look good on HDR. I haven't seen that in years. I'm due for a rewatch on that. Ken is asking, is the 101 Films edition of Class of 84 better than Screams? Need to pick it up. I don't know, but I don't have the 101 Films one, I will admit. Class of 84 from Scream Factory is one of their oldest releases, though, so it would not surprise me at all if 101's was better. Deep Star 6 is out on Kino and still available, so if you want that one, you can pick it up. I'm finding creatures all have a sameness to their look, including underwater. Really though, including underwater, it's a very specific, recognizable character from horror lore. It's not just an underwater sea creature, and the directors come out and said that. So I don't know. Ooh, R. Hilton says I'm saying Crawl's an aquatic horror. I mean, by definition, it kind of is. That's a cool take. Aquatic Horror would have been a good for the box set conversation. Most of them have had a good Blu-ray release. Obviously, The Abyss, but yeah, that's a good point. So my last one. This one is genuinely a really good release from Scream Factory. Now, I love this movie, and I talked about this a couple weeks ago that I used to like this movie, and then I saw it in the theaters as part of a triple bill and had a brand new found respect for this movie. Just so well made, so much tension, how it's really a Western, just done up really nicely. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because the company Deaf Crocodile, who is now a Vinegar Syndrome partner label, has been doing a 4K restoration for the last 8 or 10 months and advertising it quite a lot online, that they are doing a 4K restoration of John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13. Now, this is still in print from Scream Factory, still, coming out just fine. You're able to get it, no big deal. But Deaf Crocodile restoring this so far has only been alluding to cinematic re-releases of the film. And it would be incredible if they could put this out on 4K for a home video release. And now that they're a partner label with Vinegar Syndrome, I see that being a lot more realistic than I would have thought it was about 6 months ago, because they were only alluding to cinematic showings then. Now, this one, if you've never seen it, is just such a great movie. I love this poster on the inside. This is an early John Carpenter film. This is from 1976, so this is right before Halloween. This says, isolated and cut off from the city inside a soon-to-be-closed L.A. police station, a group of police officers and convicts must join forces to defend themselves against the gang called Street Thunder, who have taken a blood oath to kill someone trapped inside the precinct. Really, really fun movie. The acting in it is just beyond what it needed to be, and there is one very well-known brutal moment in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and it's just so good, so good. Let's see. John says he has his signed by Austin Stoker. Nice. King Dingling, I'd like to see Apocalypto get a UHD upgrade. It won't. But with Disney's recent track record on disc, I'm not thinking I want to see it get that treatment. Yeah, not at all. I really wish Disney more commonly licensed out their transfers or the rights to the releases and allowed others to do the transfer, because I don't know, Tombstone got leaked today that is coming. It's not an official announcement yet, but I'm not even going to get excited yet, because I love Tombstone and I don't want to see it get trashed. And literally, Pirates of the Caribbean was their cash grab for years. And for them to put out Pirates of the Caribbean, the original movie, and ruin the movie with tons of DNR, muted colors, and it just looking literally not even really better than the Blu-ray. I mean, I'm so worried about what they're going to do for things like Tombstone. They're supposed to care about pirates, and then this is coming. I don't know. There's no way that I'm going to look forward to Tombstone until I hear a review. Dave says, as far as anthologies go, do not pass up on Love, Death, and Robots. Excellent stories and phenomenal animation. I got to admit that has been in my list for a couple years, and I've just forgot about it. I really need to watch that. I've heard that it's incredible. John Carpenter's score for that film is too damn catchy. It is my favorite part of Assault on Precinct 13. When I just talked about this, I think it was just a couple weeks ago, but I literally listen to the Assault soundtrack probably once a month while I'm reading. That main theme is so wonderfully done. Carpenter is it's ridiculous how good he is at soundtracks. Um, but yeah, those are my 5 from Scream Factory that I think really deserve a good upgrade. And to show them all again, 4 of them are collector's editions. I guess I should show the other side so that you can see Leviathan and maybe not hold them all upside down like an idiot. They're Dog Soldiers, Death Becomes Her, Manhunter, Leviathan, Assault on Precinct 13. So those are my 5. Are there any Scream Factory releases that have come out? Not just ones that you want on 4K, but ones that you want a better release than what Scream Factory has done with them? Because there's quite a few, and they've shown that they can upgrade them. That's something important to point out. I mean, Scream Factory has done. They Live and Prince of Darkness in 4K now. Obviously, they borrowed the Studio Canal 4Ks, so it's not like they did all the work in house. But they've also upgraded like My Bloody Valentine. They've upgraded the other steel books they put out. What are they? A handful of other ones. You know them. Life Force is one of the big ones. In the Mouth of Madness on 4K would be amazing, but at the same time, it's a pretty good Blu-ray release. It's not, awful, but it's not over the top great. I'd love to see some new extras for that movie for sure, especially with a lot of the people involved still alive. That'd be a good one. There's a handful of other standard editions that I was thinking of bringing up, like the Dark Half. I think that'd be a good one that could have an upgrade that would do pretty well if they could get some good extras on it. Um, the one that I've always been fond for, and not a lot of people bring up, but I wanted to throw it out there. The Incredible Melting Man is surprisingly really well done. Just a standard release on that. If they could get a new scan, shine that thing up, get some new extras, that could make a good collector's edition. I want to see from Scream Factory all of the Quatermass movies in a box set. I think that would do really well for them. That's all that is jumping out at me that I can see from over here, though. Anyways, I think that's kind of it. I mean, there's not been many announcements, so I knew this was going to be a short show, but we've had a lot of really good discussion tonight. So I appreciate you guys. We've had, there was at one point, I think, like 55 people watching. Hammer films in 4K. Yes, we don't have any yet, right? I mean, obviously we've got Universal, but I don't think we have any Hammer films in 4K, unless I'm forgetting something. Did I like the Snake Eyes movie? Are we talking about Nick Cage, Snake Eyes? If you're talking about Nick Cage, then yes. Yes. Nick Cage, first of all, is amazing. One of the best actors of all time. And I, again, unironically saying that, I think that he puts his all into everything. He's made a lot of bad choices, primarily because he's had a lot of money to pay. But yes, that is, yeah, he's great. Kino has the first Quatermass for now. I mean, licenses expire, and they put that out a while ago now, so it would be nice. I have not seen any of the Quatermass BBC releases. No, I have not. Flex, the GI. No, no, I'm not a GI Joe one. I'm sorry. That's not my bag. I like Channing Tatum, but even he hates that movie. If they could do a new master and a commentary, Lake Placid, yes. Give us the Betty White release. That would be awesome. The Price Castle movie, yeah, they would do really well. See, and this is exactly one of the things I was thinking of the other day. Stephen King releases always do really well. Why do we have none of the made-for-TV movies on Blu-ray at all? Rose Red, The Langoliers. There's a handful. I mean, obviously we've got like The Stand, but there's other ones that have been done that could do really, really well if we got it. So I would love to see some of those other Stephen King releases get some good. Honestly, Scream Factory has done TV. Do some of these other ones that people are genuinely looking to see. Moss, I appreciate that. Rob, not a lot of people mention Dark Star. I believe the Umbrella release of Assault is one of the few ways to see it. It'd be cool to get an official release for it. We have an official release for it. It is from VCI. It's not a great release, but we have an official release for it. It is a little dark, and I honestly, a 4K would probably not do great for the release of Dark Star, but it does exist. Cat's Eye has not gotten a Scream Factory release, and what's odd, the studio has really held on to Cat's Eye, and I don't know if it's because of the cast maybe, and they see it as a moneymaker, but yeah, I don't understand it. The Cat's Eye is something that I could see do really well on Scream Factory. Maximus, I'd love to see Bronson lose his shit and Langoliers on Blue. Yeah, it'd be great. Really well done. One that I've been thinking of recently, especially because the studio release is out of print. I would love to see somebody update The Mist from what year was that? 2008, 2009. I would love to see The Mist get a good 4K upgrade of both the standard version and the black and white version, and release both of them on 4K like they did for Logan. Oh man, I would love that release. I could see like Second Sight doing a great release of The Mist, and get there's so many of those cast members that just have interesting stories, especially because it's Frank Darabont and he's got his go-to crew that he's had in so many different movies, and then The Walking Dead, that they've got tons of stories, and I can't imagine that set was anything but a lot of fun to film on. Yeah, The Mist is one that really, really has stuck with me. I loved seeing that one in the theaters. Jason would love to see a 4K Silver Bullet. I would too, but I doubt that one is going to be coming, unfortunately, especially because any release for that came on Blue literally just came out in the last couple of years. So I would see maybe in a handful of years, like another anniversary year for it or something. But it also, for some reason, doesn't have the love and reputation that something like Dog Soldiers, or obviously like American Werewolf in London, or The Howling. It just doesn't have it. Yeah, Dave, if you've never seen it, I think it was the first edition of the studio release on Blu-ray for The Mist came with a black and white version on disc, and I got to admit, better than the standard version, I think, because a lot of people that hated The Mist, they hated it because some of the effects are a little rough, very, very obviously CGI. But when you're trying to look at it through the fog and all that, it's hard to get the realism going there. But when it's in black and white, it blends in so much better. And I genuinely think that if they had shown the black and white of The Mist in theaters, I think it would have been an even bigger hit if more people would have gone and seen it. It genuinely has a much bigger impact, and it's got that old timey feel anyways, because the way that they film that, it has the sense of isolation, because it's this mountain town up by a lake. They've got the old timey military uniforms. It really works, and in the black and white, it feels old timey, but it's got this interesting, really modern take on the old timey like aura. Basically, yeah, it's so well done. If you've not seen it, absolutely check out the black and white of The Mist. So much better in my opinion. Obviously, the ending of The Mist is amazing. Silver Bullet wins because of Gary Busey. Random funny story. A friend of mine who has been one of my closest friends for the last 16 years. His aunt lives down in the foothills of Southern California, and she went to the beach one day with my friend. She took him down there, and they were taking pictures of just random things. And his uncle was taking a picture of his aunt sitting on this brick wall, and she was just looking off into the distance. And they got home, and they were looking through all the pictures, and on this brick wall sitting next to her was random ass Gary Busey. And it was 2009, 2010 Gary Busey. So he was not well. But yeah, just randomly, this random old man. I'm sure when they were there, they thought he was this homeless guy or something. But hilarious that they just have this random picture of Gary Busey on a beach brick wall, probably in Venice or something. Jason says, I keep a tuned black and white setting on my TV for just this reason. That's awesome. But there is something to say about a disc that comes presented in black and white, obviously looking much better. And again, I'll throw out there that any any of the old movies that are presented in true 4K that are in black and white can look leaps and bounds better than some of these other movies in 4K. And that is because of the film elements. That's because of the deep HDR found on the blacks. They just really bring out all of that detail. I think I skipped over a couple comments here. Moss says Cujo. Yes, there is not a great US release of Cujo, so I actually see this one coming soon. Have a good night, Jeff. Thanks for hanging out tonight. And then Jason brought up, what about a Ginger Snaps 4K trilogy? I don't want to piss anybody off here or anything, especially Jason. I don't love Ginger Snaps. I don't think I've seen the second or third one, so if they're an improvement, let me know. I just never connected with that first one. I don't know why. I probably need to watch it. It's been a while. It's been some time. Did Criterion fix the 4K of Citizen Kane yet? I want to order. No, but there is. Let me see. I believe they finally put out a pre-order link for the new cut. And it's being listed as the second. Oh, no. Wait, let me see. It says in stock and free delivery on Tuesday. I'm not sure if this is the new one yet. It does not say second pressing on Amazon yet. I would still hold off. I would imagine because they found out so late on that, that's probably not going to be ready to go until early February at the earliest. Flickering wants a Golden Years miniseries upgrade. Nice. Do you think second releases like second sight releases, that what you're saying? Releases like Raw, Swallow, or Revenge are worth getting, or should I wait for a 4K Region A release? Ordered the Guest 4K the other day. Can't wait to watch. To be honest, if something is out on 4K, if anything is out from Second Sight, they are, as you can see, everything on this side of my screen. This whole top shelf is Second Sight right here. They are possibly my favorite label right now. I think that they are all worth it. Swallow is a really great release from them. Revenge, one of my favorite movies from the last 5 or 6 years. Raw is probably the best release we're going to get of that for some time, if ever. So, yeah, I'd imagine that the Second Sights are probably going to be the best versions for some time. Video store. Have I seen Master Chaos's film yet? No, it's not playing anywhere near me, unfortunately. And I think it's going to be streaming or VOD, whatever. I'm not sure if it is yet, though. Is it? Eric says, my Severin Black Friday order should arrive by Tuesday. Finally. Nice. He's going to get his copy of The Forbidden Door. Got my notice for the new Citizen Kane Blu-ray last week, but still hasn't shipped. Yeah, that's the new Blu-ray, not the 4K, unfortunately. Yeah. All right. I think that's all I've got for tonight. If anybody else has anything, leave a comment below. As always, I try to get back to everything, and I wanted to leave with one last thing. As you notice, there is a brand new, pretty decent microphone here. It's not like super expensive or anything, but it's a much better than using AirPods. I am trying to make this quite a bit better. And I wanted to be able to share that I'm going to be putting everything that I can into this. There's going to be some big changes coming to the channel. I've got a couple videos already recorded for next week, and I'm hoping that you all will appreciate it. I've got a lot of content on the way. And if you have any feedback along the way, I've got a heart and a stomach of steel. So please throw it at me. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you want changed. But in the meantime, as I always say, from one collector to all of you, thank you for making this channel worth it and making the community what it is. I appreciate you all, and can't wait to see you guys next Thursday. Have a good weekend. Later.